Vinci was born in 1452. He grew up in Italy. As a child, Leonardo liked to draw. At 14, he became a famous artist. Some of the struggles Leonardo faced were spelling words correctly. But Leonardo overcame these struggles. He made Mona Lisa and the Adoration of the Magi his most famous paintings. Because of Leonardo da Vinci, we have art like the Adoration of the Magi, Mona Lisa, and the Last Supper.
Eric Carle was born in 1929. He grew up in New York. As a child, Eric and his parents moved to Germany, and Eric went to art school. Some of the struggles Eric faced were when he moved to the U.S. from Germany. He got a job as an artist, but he was drafted into the army during the Korean War. But Eric overcame these struggles. Eric became best known for his book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and also sold more than 145 million books. Because of Eric gave little kids books to read. They would read it and be happy.
Pocahontas was born in 1595. As a child, she learned how to farm and cook and make clothing. Some of the struggles she faced were not having a mom, but she overcome these struggles. She helped the colonizers survive. She helped keep peace between the two groups. Because of Pocahontas, the colonizers survived and the two groups live in peace.
Amelia Earhart was born in 1897. She grew up in Kansas. As a child, Amelia was very adventurous. One of the struggles Amelia faced was many people doubted her. But Amelia overcame that struggle. She was the first solo flight from Hawaii to California, and she was the first woman to fly across the U.S. and back. To this day, because of Amelia Earhart, she made it easier for women to fly planes. Alexander Graham Bell was born in Scotland. He was born in 1847. As a child, he was interested in sound and liked to invent because his mom was deaf. Some of the struggles Alexander faced were his two brothers died of illness, his health was bad too. He also did bad in school. But Alexander came over these struggles. He invented a metal detector and a sound device. Because of Alexander, we have telephones. Albert Einstein was born in 1879. He grew up in Germany. As a child, he was good at math, science, and violin. Some of the struggles that Albert faced were he was a little shy and he struggled to teach languages and speak languages. But Albert overcame these struggles. He became one of the most famous scientists of the 1900s. To this day, because of Albert Einstein, people understand the universe even better.
Harriet Tubman was born in the early 1820s. She grew up in Maryland. As a child, Harriet Tubman's three sisters were taken away and were never seen again, and slavery separated many families, including Harriet's. Some of the struggles Harriet Tubman faced were she was enslaved and needed to work at age 6. But she overcame these struggles. She helped 70 people escape the South. She also helped soldiers and black people. To this day, because of Harriet Tubman, people remember her for helping to free people to live a better life.
Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809. He grew up in Kentucky. As a child, Abraham had to move to Indiana. Abraham did chores and read books. Some of the struggles Abraham faced were the Civil War between the North and South. Abraham overcame these struggles. He became a good lawyer and was elected to be the 16th president. To this day, he helped end slavery and people remember him as a great speaker and leader. Helen Keller was born in 1880. She grew up in Alabama. As a baby, she got sick and then became blind and deaf. Some of the struggles she faced were that she could not communicate. Another struggle is that she lost her sight and hearing. But Helen overcame these struggles. Her teacher, Anne Sullivan, taught Helen to read by making letters on Helen's palm. Also, she worked for foundations, gave speeches, and wrote articles. To this day, because of Helen Keller, when things are hard, we overcome it.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929. He grew up in Georgia. As a child, people were separated and he couldn't go to many restaurants. Some of the struggles Martin Luther King faced were that he went to jail many times. But Martin overcame these struggles. He gave a famous speech to make these things fair. To this day, because of Martin Luther King Jr., we are treated fairly.
Thomas Jefferson was born in 1743. He grew up in West Virginia. As a child, he enjoyed reading. He grew up on a farm. Some of the struggles Thomas faced was that he was forced to join the Revolutionary War. But when Thomas was 14, his father died. But Thomas overcame these struggles. He and the colony won the war, and he became a lawyer, also the president. Because of Thomas Jefferson, we have the Declaration of Independence. He helped to grow our country.
George Washington was born in 1732. He grew up in Virginia on a farm. As a child, George went to school, but he mostly studied at home. Some struggles George faced were he had to fight wars for freedom. But George overcame these struggles. He was elected the first U.S. president. He helped the capital city of Washington. To this day, George Washington helped shape the United States.
Malala was born in 1997. She grew up in Paskatan. As a child, Malala was attacked on the school bus and survived. Some of the struggles Malala faced were the Taliban took over the school that her father opened. But Malala overcame these struggles. She was the youngest person to receive the Liberty Medal. Malala has opened a school for refugee girls and continues to fight for their rights.
The Wright brothers were born in 1871 and 1867. Orville grew up in Ohio. Wilbur grew up in Indiana. As a child in 1892, they opened a bike shop in Ohio. Some of the struggles the Wright brothers faced were trying to make planes and selling the planes they made. But they overcame these struggles. The Wright brothers made an engine for the newest flying machine. To this day, because of the Wright brothers, we can fly and have a different way to travel.
Rosa Parks was born in 1913. She grew up in Alabama, Montgomery. As a child, she grew up on a farm. She could only go to black schools. She went to Montgomery Industry School for Girls. Some of the struggles Rosa Parks faced were she was asked to give up her bus seat to a white man. She refused and was arrested. She wasn't even able to vote or be treated equally. But Rosa Parks overcame these struggles. She was given the Medal of Freedom. Because of Rosa Parks, the court decided segregation of public buses was illegal.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929. He grew up in Georgia. As a child, he could not play with his friends because he was black and his friends were white. Some of the struggles Martin faced were white people and people with color were segregated. But Martin overcame these struggles. He worked hard to change segregation laws. Because of Martin, an act was passed in 1964. It said all people had equal rights under law.
George Washington was born in 1732. He grew up in a farm. As a child, George Washington began working as a surveyor at age of 16 in 1759. Some of the struggles George Washington faced were the Revolutionary War. But George Washington overcame these struggles. He was the first president. To this day, Americans remember him as the father of our country.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929. He grew up in Georgia. Some of the struggles Martin faced were white people and people of color were segregated, so Martin wasn't treated fairly. But Martin overcame these struggles. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. To this day, because of Martin Luther King Jr., all people had equal rights under the law.
Ralph Bunche was born in 1904. He grew up in Detroit, Michigan. As a child, Ralph's father and mother died when Ralph was 12. Some of the struggles Ralph Bunche faced were that he was raised by his grandmother. But Ralph Bunche overcame these struggles. He was the first African American to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Because of Ralph Bunche, countries reached peaceful agreements.
Neil Armstrong was born in 1930. He grew up in Ohio. As a child, he loved the airplanes. Some of the struggles Neil Armstrong faced was being a fighter pilot in the Korean War. But Neil Armstrong overcame these struggles. He was the first astronaut to walk on the moon. Because of Neil Armstrong, millions of people know what he said. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.